Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike. I'm here with my buddy Aiden. How you doing, Aiden? And we're going to talk about the recent case against YouTube, the $170 million they had to pay for being in violation, for collecting data from children and giving them targeted advertisement. And there's good and the bad of this. Before we get into all the details of what YouTube's doing different, I want to say that I can understand the side of we don't want to be collecting data from children and seeing what data's doing in a privacy. I understand that piece of it. I disagree with the outcome and what's going to happen and in result of this ruling. Let's read this real quick, though. Some highlights from this. From its earliest days, YouTube has been a site for people over 13. But with a boom in family content, the rise of shared devices, and the likelihood of children watching without supervision has increased. We've been taking a hard look at the areas where we can do more to address this, informed by feedback from parents, experts, and regulators, including COPPA concerns raised by the U.S. Federal Trade Commission and New York Attorney General that we are addressing for the settlement announced today. Now, I'm not a political channel. I might open a second channel for all that. But I want to say that there's a whole lot of negative that's going to come out of this. Let's move down just a little bit more. New data practices for children content on YouTube. We are changing how we treat data for children on YouTube starting in 4 months. We will treat data from anyone watching children's content on YouTube as coming from a child regardless of the age of the user. This means that we limit the data collection on the use of videos made for kids only to what is needed to support the operation of the service, and we will also stop serving personalized ads on this content entirely. And some features will no longer be available on this type of content, like comments, notifications. In order to identify content made for kids, creators will be required to tell us when their content falls in this category, which, by the way, content does not. We'll also use machine learning to find videos that clearly target young audiences, for example, those that have an emphasis on kid characters, themes, toys, and games. So, I gotta say that they can target my channel, and I talk about, $200 collectible items. I'm going to be talking about a $600 Unicron, but yet they could target me just because 30-year-old characters that I talk about. What do you think about all this, Aiden?
Well, right off the bat, I think this is really going to discourage content creators that target children because they will no longer really have an incentive to do these videos. A lot of them rely on a very grandiose plan, such as spending $1,000 on slime material. And of course, they make more than that back on revenue. But also, now there's not going to be as much drive to do it anymore without this. So I think it'll definitely be a big hit for YouTube kids in general.
I agree. I know that my kids watch a lot of YouTube, and I know that I try to be involved and police it as best I can, but I know that there's some of the content out there that's bad. But there is a lot of good kid content, and those content creators are going to get punished for doing nothing wrong.
Well, when I was a kid, I assure you, if it wasn't for some of these YouTube channels, I would not have the vintage collection I had when I was a kid. Because these guys would talk about how great it was and how cool and nostalgic for them was. So, of course, me being young, like, oh, that's kind of cool, So, that's what got me into the hobby as a whole. I attribute a large part of that to YouTube.
So, yeah, so you bring up a good point. So, with that, when you were younger, you watched content that was about vintage Star Wars stuff. Mm-hmm. But yet, do you think that those videos were targeting younger audiences?
Well, I'm not going to say they intentionally went in this with the mind of a younger kid who be watching this, but I think it was just friendly to all ages is what it was.
Yeah.
It was not towards kids or older adults. It was just for anybody who was watching. And I think with the YouTube community, as far as action figures goes, there's more adult-oriented content, such as Johnny the Hunk, but there's also more innocent ones. I can't think of any off the bat. That focus more for kids,
Yeah. Well, I want to say that you touched on a really good point there. So you're saying, content creators that didn't really target kids, but made sure that the content wasn't to exclude kids. It was family content, like they're saying in here, family friendly content. So almost like if you're not using profanity and being obscene in your video, that you're now targeting kids. Like I always thought you don't want to be obscene, you don't want to use profanity, and you don't want to be like that on YouTube. You want to disassociate yourself with those kinds of channels. They're out there.
Mm-hmm.
But then the fact that you're a clean operation and you're going to be considered a kids channel. So just like whenever I talk about vintage Star Wars stuff, I expect that my normal demographics, which are my age in the 40s, the larger group of my demographics would be watching this, and I target them. But I also target them thinking that they can watch my videos with their kids in the room. They don't have to make their kids leave the room while they're watching. Okay, so what are they going to do? The improvement to the kids' YouTube. So we continue to recommend parents to use YouTube Kids if they plan to allow their kids under 13 to watch independently, which that's my kids, by the way. Tens of millions of people use YouTube Kids every week, but we want even more parents to be aware of the app and its benefits, and we're increasing our investment in promoting the YouTube Kids to parents with a campaign that will run across YouTube. We're also continuing to improve the product. For example, we recently raised the bar for which channels can be a part of the YouTube Kids and drastically reducing the number of channels in the app, and we're bringing the YouTube Kids experience to the desktop. I think that's good to have the YouTube Kids. Okay.
You know, I have the YouTube Kids app because some younger cousins of mine like to watch YouTube on my phone. And well, yes, there's a lot of bad on YouTube. I think there's a lot of good. There's a lot of these content that gets filtered to the YouTube Kids app that would be beneficial to them.
So you think that there's a lot of good quality content out there, but they don't qualify for the YouTube Kids app?
No. They don't qualify because it's targeted. It mainly older people, vintage collection, more high-end collectibles. But I think it would also, for kids that are interested in that stuff.
Yeah. I agree. Well, it says right here, investing in family creators. We know that these changes will have a significant business impact on family and kids and creators who have been building both wonderful content and thriving business. So we've worked to give impacted creators 4 months to adjust their content before it takes effect, and we recognize it won't be easy for some creators are committed to working with them through this transition and providing a resource to help them better understand these changes. We are also going to continue in the future the quality kids, family, and educational content. We are establishing a $100 million fund dispersed over 3 years dedicated to the creation of thoughtful, original children's content on YouTube and YouTube Kids globally. So they're saying, I guess, if you get stuck into this, they're going to split up $33 million a year and pay that out. But some YouTube creators, I know some channels that make millions a year themselves, and to say they're going to just get a small chunk just to exist now doesn't sound right to me. I don't know how that's all going to be broken up. But I could say, it sounds to me like this is going to make a lot of people January 1st, if they start seeing a 90% decrease in their AdSense, they're probably just going to stop making content.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying originally. It's definitely going to discourage children content creators from making the content that they've been making. So then what I see is a more decline in kids' content where they quite frankly don't give a crap about it. And then YouTube Kids slowly starts to diminish because there's no content to be put on that app.
So YouTube Kids, there's not enough creators that want to be involved in it, so that starts to dwindle away.
Mm-hmm.
And then kids just watch regular YouTube. I mean, use a regular YouTube app, and then they go to, then instead of watching kids content with a commercial for a toy or a commercial for a video game or a commercial for something targeted to them, which I think it was stated that predominantly it was Hasbro Mattel's marketing. As a father, I'd rather have my kids watch that, or even worse, if the kids are not being provided the content that they're now used to getting, they're gonna go find more mature content.
Well, and that goes back to a big concern I had was you get these kid content that no longer has it. So what are the kids gonna do? Let's say they go to their friendly neighborhood Transformers reviewer is gone. Because I know the newer Transformers toys appeal to kids. Well, they Google search Transformer reviews on YouTube. What do they get? You could have your child watching videos produced by Jobby the Hong. Love them to death, but I would not want any child of mine watching that type of content.
Jobby is very entertaining and funny. But yes, you're right. I mean, I would wonder if that type of content will now become more age restricted.
Mm-hmm.
And with the age restricted, is that going to result in far fewer views?
Well, even with some YouTubers that I follow on other social media, it does. The age restriction does sometimes hinder their content, but normally they are aware of that going into it, and that's one of the small sacrifices they make in order to make the content that they do.
Yeah, so I actually think that some of this is maybe an inadvertent way to go after some of the creators that make kids content that looks like kid content on the surface, like a puppet show.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's not really kid content because it has adult themes and used to have profanity, but they don't have profanity anymore, but still carry the adult themes. And that's not really kid content, even though it is being perpetrated as kid content and kids are watching it. You think they're trying to shut that kind of stuff down?
Yes. Well, at a very young age, I found out about the glorious show Robot Chicken. I collected Mego at the time, so what does young me see? A TV show that has stop motion Mego. I'm like, I love this.
Yeah.
And watching it, I started to realize, wait, this isn't a kid show. This is more adult themed.
Yeah.
And now that I'm older, I can appreciate the show for what it was.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree with you on that point. It's gonna definitely target that sort of demographic.
I remember watching that. I think it was like a segment of one of the channels that called it Adult Swim or something.
Adult Swim.
Adult Swim, Robot Chicken. Yeah, I actually really tuned in on all the Robot Chicken Star Wars stuff. But I think it's great content. And you know what? They themselves are not targeting kids.
No, they're not.
You know they're not. But that type of content, if created similar to that for YouTube, could get stuck into this not demonetized kid zone.
Exactly.
And kids get to watch it.
Well,
I mean, it would be the flip side.
Or do you think YouTube's going to sit there and watch every 20, 30-minute video that has to do with a kid's toy?
No, I don't think they are, actually.
I think that's going to be a lot of issues where their grip is becoming so tight that stuff is now starting to slip out. They're starting to micromanage so much that the bigger issues...
It's like they don't even care about me.
No.
Now they're going to care about the bigger YouTubers.
Oh, of course.
So, but then again, what good would it be if you only have 5 big YouTubers out there left after this is over?
Well,
who knows?
And it's just what is the future of YouTube coming to? For especially action figure content creators.
Yeah.
I know a lot of them are starting to slow down on it because of it. Because they already some of them had to put the age restriction on them just because of a few words they said here and there.
Yeah.
But I think this will greatly affect the future of that.
I do too. I do. I'm concerned about the future of not only YouTube, but my channel and the channels I enjoy watching. Aiden, thanks for joining me again for another great discussion. And thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe. Tydirium Hanger out.